Hello, welcome to the Horror Vision Blood and Coffee. I'm Shawn. I got my coffee and I got a gallon of blood here in this movie I'm going to talk about. So, today we're going to talk about an upcoming anthology called Lore. Now, this is not to be confused with the podcast from, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago that was also turned into an Amazon show, which took lore, urban legends, folklore from around the world and turned it into stories. This is an anthology, a very classic anthology, I think very well done. Most of this is written by Patrick Ryder and Christina Barber Ryder. There are some exceptions. I will get into that. The cinematography is exclusively done by Scott Coltier. It's excellent. All the lighting, everything visual and sonic about this anthology is fantastic. And all the performances are great too. I had a little bit of an issue at first, which resolved itself. So one of the things I bring that up because I want to tell people if you watch this, give it a little bit. And I really think if you have any misgivings, they're gonna kind of come out in the wash. This is really good. I'm recommending this. Laura's going to be available to stream exclusively on the IFC channel from the 26th of August, in select UK cinemas from the 27th of September, and then available at home from October 21st on. So you've got your classic wraparound, and here's the setup. There's four friends. They're going through the woods and they've hired a guide. They meet up with a guide, and it's Richard Brake, which I thought was awesome right off the bat. Always love to see him. And he's spooky as fuck. I mean, he knows how to just turn it on and turn it off. And his spooky meters dial up to like 12 here. And basically they set camp for the night. And before going on in the morning, he tells them, like, there's bad spirits. You need to appease them. Everybody needs to tell the scariest story they can. So they sit around the campfire and they each take turns telling tales. Now, none of this is reinventing the wheel, right? The first story is called Shadows. This is written and directed by James Bush. So this is one of those exceptions. So this is a dude running from two thugs. This is a British anthology, by the way. Richard Brake, I think, was the only American actor. I might be wrong about that, but it's got a heavy British Irish cast, which always wins me over on an Anglophile. So in Shadows, this guy's running from these two thugs. He goes into this, what he thinks is an abandoned warehouse. The thugs follow him in there, and then this creature kills the thugs one by one. This is where my misgivings really came in at first. So I didn't love the effect on the creature. The lighting really worked with it, but there were some scenes where I felt like they should have maybe cut away a little bit sooner. They showed a little bit too much. However, I feel like the end of this segment really sells the rest of it in reverse. And what I mean by that is the main character is played by Andrew Lee Potts. He's the guy running from the thugs. And there's a moment near the end of this where he has to face a brutal truth about himself. And I felt like his performance just worked. Like, it was great. And the man playing opposite him, I don't want to say too much. I don't know the actor's name, but it's a very tense moment. And even with the creature being present, I just really feel like this actor just sold it. It was very, very good. From there, we go into The Hidden Woman, which is very classic, like kind of a haunted house kind of thing. Not exactly. Hidden Woman was written by Patrick and Christina Barber Ryder, and it was directed by Patrick Ryder. Classic haunting kind of story, really worked. Then we go into, so those are the two serious ones. Now I feel like where the anthology really jumps, really got me, was with the last two, which were a little bit more humorous, not overly. I wouldn't say they're horror comedies. First one is Cross Your Heart, and it deals with a couple who, by the lead of the man in the couple, is out looking for like a wife swap kind of situation, and it goes totally south on him. It ends up being something akin to a modern Wicker Man in a way. I mean, small budget, but still, and it looks good for a small budget. They knew where to shoot. It looks really good. They shoot in an old hotel. It's creepy, but also elegant, and I just really like that one quite a bit. It takes some interesting turns, and there's some cool kind of folk horror imagery that go along, which seems kind of out of place in this modern hotel, but it works. It 100% works. And I like that dichotomy a lot. And then we get my favorite, the Keychain Man. I think this is going to be almost everybody's favorite. And it's just three friends going to see a movie in a cinema. And as they go up to get their snacks, the guy working the register, I mean, he's so big. Remind me of the old Crime Story or Police Story episodes where the guy was so big you couldn't even see his head. So you just see this guy and he's like, he can't ring them up, and the manager comes over and belittles him. And then they go in and sit down. And one friend comes back out to take a leak and witnesses this guy murder his manager. And then the guy just puts on this mask they have at the concession stand, walks to the door, locks it, and then just starts making his way through the theater, killing everybody. It's fucking hysterical. But it's also gory as fuck. And I just really, it's got some great moments. It's got a moment where one of the guys tries to hide in a woman's bathroom and gets accosted by a female employee. Really, really funny. But again, not that's the most like a horror comedy out of all of them. And this juxtaposing with the more serious ones, and there's kind of a whimsy to the wraparound. So maybe that's why it works. Maybe that's the umbrella that makes this kind of more serious toned first two skits work just right alongside tonally with the other two. I mean, there's never a moment where I felt like it was jumbled or whatever. And that's really hard to do if you're doing kind of that in an anthology. I feel like anthologies tend to either lean where, like Tales of Halloween, pretty much all of them have some aspect of humor to them to varying degrees. Or you get your serious ones, right? I mean, maybe Creepshow now, we can look back at the old Creepshow ones or even the new ones and say, oh, these kind of have an element of humor, but the old ones, I feel like the humor is retrospective. When I was a kid and I saw the first Creepshow or the second one, I didn't see any humor in it. So I think that's kind of just the way that the audience, I mean, it's steep. Those are 40-something-year-old movies, and they kind of open and breathe a little bit as time goes. And so this, I don't know, I thought everybody did a really good job. I should mention Keychain Man, written by the Barbers again. Cross Your Heart, written directed by Greg Johnson. And just again, I really like that one. It's the last two, Cross Your Heart and the Keychain Man, were my favorites. And then the wraparound ends. I don't know that I was satisfied with how it ended, but it left me scratching my head. So I think another viewing is imminent. And I don't think that it necessarily did anything wrong. I just think it made me think. And it did something that I'm not really entirely sure how to interpret, which is not a bad thing. So, but yeah, so that's Lore. That's like I said, it's going to be out. It'll be on IFC on 8/26. That's the first place you're going to see it. And VOD all over October 21st in select British theaters, September 27th. And I'm definitely recommending this one. I really, really enjoyed it. And I think a lot of people will as well. So that's Lore. This is the Horror Vision, Blood and Coffee.
A pandemic of violence floods the streets of major cities as cases of the media-dubbed murder virus, MV20, soar, causing those infected to go on killing sprees. Caught in the middle, police detective Angela Miller finds her only trustworthy ally in the self-proclaimed psychic PI, Gerald Henry. As the two try to navigate the violence, they are drawn into New Age guru Abramelin Harvest's plot to heal the planet. Harvest's missive?
The world is sick, and humanity is the infection.
The cure? Murder. From the twisted mind of Shawn C. Baker, author of A Collection of Desires and Shadow Play in Book 1, Kim and Jesse, comes his most vicious novel yet, Murder Virus. Available where books are sold.